Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and today we're going to be doing some spring pruning. I have a flowering viburnum, a blueberry bonsai, and a trident maple all lined up for some solid spring pruning. So stick around, that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, tree 1, flowering viburnum. Did I say viburnum in the intro or verbatim? Anyways, it's a viburnum with little like white snowball like flowers. So last year I just let it go. It was the first time it was in this pot. It had been in like an antique wheelbarrow in the yard in a huge pot. So I kind of let it go wild and I didn't make any hard prunes, but I think that this year I might have to take out some the major branches. I just don't like the 3 straight ones coming out of one location. Root system's cool. I'm loving those surface roots, and it flowered nicely for me last year. So if it takes a hit this year and needs to recover and doesn't kick off any flowers, that's all right. Gonna get some progress on his bonsai journey here. All right, this is the trident maple we're going to take a look at. So you see it was girdled horribly by a mouse last year. I believe this black part is the dead part of the trunk. Anyways, really gave it an interesting look. But as you see, it has recovered. I left it alone last year, and here we are. So this will be, I made the mistake of pruning this in late summer 2 years ago. And so this is all the growth it gave off last year while I was recovering from that girdling. So we'll get to that one. And let's see, right in here. Right now, before they bloom out and bud out, they all pretty much look like sticks in a pot. So here's that blueberry. Really starting to get some character and age to it. I got it as a nursery rescue about 6 years ago. So as a bonsai about 5 years. All right, cool. Let's get it up on the tripod and get to it. All right. So up here it's spread out nicely. I was able to do a light pruning and keep any branches from intersecting, but you see around back, this one's growing right from the crotch of these two. These two are really close together, so I'm definitely going to remove this entirely. I may also be removing either this one or this one, depending on how it looks after. But let's start with the obvious. Hey, Carl. All right, so I only have this one, and I don't have much experience pruning it, so I'm going to leave about 1/3 of an inch here. About 1 centimeter for dieback, and then I'll take that out later on if I see that it's good to go. This branch right here I think is dead, so we'll get rid of that and then see where that takes us. It was not dead. So this has a nice part of the canopy, but it's a pretty boring start. And then this is pretty boring all the way, and it adds balance to it in the pot. So I think if I'm going to do one of them, I have to do all 3 of them, and then we're just going to go forward with this singular trunk and get it to branch from there. So that's what we're doing. In the words of my broski at Boston Bonsai Idiot, we're chopping it. And one more time. Boom, boom. If you hear the baby sounds in the background, my son JJ is having a bowel movement and a meal at the same time. It's quite the spectacle of sounds. All right, so I think that would probably change the front of how I display it. Before I had it more like so. And now I'm thinking like that, and then if we could get some growth coming out this way, it would be nice, because you get, let's see if we can see that. Yeah, then you get that nice little root hand coming towards you and going into the soil. All right, sweet. So we got the main branches out of there. So this looks like a boring, unhealthy branch. So let's see if it's even alive. Yeah, I think this one's dead. Right here. Debatable at the bottom. So maybe that'll kick off some buds, maybe it won't. You know what I'm thinking? This is already thicker, or as thick as down here. So since I did it, why don't I just do it? And this has a lovely little angle to it as it comes up, and this branches 3 times in these first couple inches here, and that would really match and make a nice little taper. So I think that I'm just going to do this number. We'll take that out, and now we got a nice little tree up there. Alright, that wasn't the plan, but I dig it. Let me just take out these older leaves, just so we can kind of see what canopy we're going to be dealing with. How sweet would it be if I got a couple of flowers on it this year with it like this? All right. So it looks a little funky with these little, looks like sloppy, lazy cuts. But I think that I'll be able to remove those, and then really nice, attractive roots. A nice, thicker trunk, and then we could get a taper with a little bit of movement up here. Yeah, I like everything. Everything that's left is gonna stay. Sweet. Let's get on to that Trident maple. Get that nub off, get these nubs off, and we'll be rocking and rolling. All right. So not the best setup with rocks, and it definitely looks like I was just grasping for anything that was close, because we've got a piece of coral from Mexico, and then a couple of basic local rocks in there. Doesn't really make any sense. And the tree is from, I got a bare root from Michigan. So here we are, Michigan tree, Mexican coral, Connecticut born pruner. So it looks like this is dead down here. I've got a lot of tiny little budding branches coming out. I wonder how this dead part, I'm assuming dead part, I wonder what's going to happen with that. It almost looks like the live part is separate and hugging around it. It's pretty wild. I almost want to show it off as like the front. Maybe that line there. Then I would have to modify this moss. Alright, well, why don't we start with just taking the height out. I'm going to come down until there's just 2 sets of buds. There. My table here is not the sturdiest, apparently. Alright. And then I have a couple of branches coming out right at the base of this big long one, so I'm going to take that totally out. I may not prune this as much as I normally would, since I wanted to have more energy. Keep rocking and rolling. Like here we got this branch coming out, and then there's a bud just below it. So on certain things like that, I feel like that one I'm just going to take the bud below, pull that right off. Here we got a little one. I'm just going to rub out any new buds that I wouldn't want to develop at all. I'm not going to put a cut in there or anything like that. Right. Put this back. Those two little buds here. Prune back about 1 centimeter above. Yeah, this branch is just to that branch. It's coming out. There are a couple of buds really low, so we'll leave it just below that, just above those. And if it dies back and they fall off, cool. And if they come out, cool. Alright, so this is a nice looking branch right here, and this one right here. And we have a few just behind them up here. I'd like to balance the planting out, but I don't know that I need 3 there. This one's pretty close to that one, so let's rub that out. And this one is pretty close to this one, so we're gonna rub that one out, and we'll leave the one facing out that way. Hopefully we get a nice little branch like that. All right. Apex is changing. Whoa. Well, I clipped this branch because I flew too close to the sun there. So luckily we have one untouched that I'm not even going to mess with right here. That may be our new apex there, our new leader. A little bit of cleanup. And then we've got this branch coming out hardy and strong here, but there's a little one right below it. So I'm just going to take this one out about 1 centimeter from the trunk. Boom, looks pretty naked, but those buds that are coming out look strong. Might have to take a little hike with the fam and find some proper stones for that. Look up what stones they have in Michigan maybe and rock with it from there. We have similar climates, but I don't know about the earth. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's a round pot, and we'll probably change our minds 1,000,000 times depending on how it grows out for the front, but that's how it's looking. So I'll get that put up, and we're going to finish off with that blueberry. All right. Nice looking canopy. This is a semi-slow grower. I don't know if I've just taken so much energy out of it, and it's used to having multi-trunk, bush-like energy, but it's been pretty nice to be able to keep under control. 1 pruning a year, and there's a nice little spread. So we could see those bright red shoots coming out of the base. Boom, boom. Would typically be sacrificial branches, but this is all thick trunk here. So I'm going to trim out some dead stuff. Well, not so dead. And we're going to take out these because I don't need any more thickness to the trunk. It's pretty much matching well going up. If anything, I need a little bit of taper in the twin trunk here. It's nice little peely bark. I'm digging it. It's almost on like a nub of a mound. We got some nice roots coming out. Hopefully these heal over well. And we got a nice thick base. Taper starting there. It was very straight up and down the first 6 years, and it still does have that characteristic, but not too bad. Alright, we're going to do a little aerial view just to switch it up. I don't know how much I'm going to actually take off of this thing. It'll probably be just the dead looking stuff. The new healthy growth has a little red tint to it. The dead stuff, just old and gray looking. pretty much just the dieback from my prunes last year. I'm removing so far. Oh! That's twice now. Don't rush your cuts. Come on, Jared. So few and far between where you don't have to rush with a toddler and an infant and all that goes into running a family. Kind of hard to pump the brakes and slow down when you have the slightest glimpse of that. I was in hyper mode repotting everything. I gotta say, I don't enjoy repotting. Partial fear to kill my trees, partial just, I don't know, I enjoy watching things germinate, bud out, flower out, bud back. I enjoy the pruning aspect. But working with the roots and soil and doing all that, it's just more or less tedious, and it has to happen. So that's one of the bonsai things that I have to do. I do bonsai because I want to. That's one of my have-to tasks. I'm not being negative, I'm just being realistic. Some people's favorite thing is to work with roots. I don't give two F's. This one wants to grow back towards here, but it's got such a nice healthy bud. I might let it go and let it flower. And since these are relatively slow growers, it might not even do any crisscrossing this year, and then I'll prune it off next year. Dead one over here. That's why I'm using these scissors, because when they're dead, they just kind of like break off. Alright, let's go on and get in here for a closer look. I think that's going to wrap it up. So those little healthy buds at the tips. If this was a maple or something like that, I would be nipping those tips off. But since it's a blueberry, it flowers and gives fruit. I'm not going to mess with those. I love seeing the little blueberries on here. Let's see. There we go. That's my front right there. Right now, we're dealing with a couple of cut marks. I think if I add some nice moss or sand or something like that in here, it would really draw the eye to that nice textured, older looking trunk and bring you up to the even canopy. So I'm really pleased with that. And I'm really pleased to have another bonsai task done. So thanks for joining me, y'all. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Hope you're enjoying your own spring prunings. And if you're just getting into it, just go for it. You're gonna kill stuff. You're gonna mess up. They either grow back or you go back to the store. Either way, it's a good time. So I'm Jared Paul, and from my family to yours, cheers.